Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. And it's Tuesday night, and every Tuesday night I jump on and do a sketch challenge. So I love this sketch challenge, and I have to say I saw it on a recent blog hop that I've been on from demonstrator training, and I really have to apologize, but I've forgotten which demonstrator used it, and I will go out and find it and put it in the link afterwards. But when I saw it, I immediately decided that I had to case it, and I just love it. I'm not using the same designer series paper that she did, but I am using the same layout, and I may be able to actually, I'm looking, hey Lynette, hey Catherine, welcome. While people are jumping on, I'm going to see if I can actually, I can't. All right, I will go out and find the name of the demonstrator that I got this layout from afterwards, and I will put it underneath this video so that you know who I cased it from. All right, so I'm going to switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. So the layout, I will post the layout. It goes live in about an hour on the group and page as well as on Instagram. And so you'll be able to follow along with the measurements in case you miss any of them. Hey, Lee, welcome. All right, so this is the layout. I just loved it. And I've added a layer in behind the designer series paper. But so you've got a card base that is either 5.5 by 8.5 or 4.25 by 11, your choice. And then layer number 1 is your standard first layer, which is 4 inches by 5.25. And then for layer number 2, it's the background mats, both the same. You need 2 pieces that are 3.5 inches by 3. We're going to trim those, and I'll tell you what those will get trimmed to. And then for layer number 3, 2 pieces that are 3.25 by 2 3/4. So just 1/4 inch smaller. And again, we're going to trim those to make this diagonal line. And I'm not sure why there is this layer numbers 4 and 5 on here. I think I got interrupted when I was doing this. And so you can ignore those because there are no extra layers unless you want one for the inside of your card. All right, I know we'll fix that before it actually goes live. Hey, Sandy. All right, let me show you what I'm using because I can't resist this. So I'm using, I'm going to get my sentiment from the Waves of the Ocean. And gosh, my camera, I hope it's not going to continue. All right, so I'm going to use the Waves of Inspiration stamp set for my sentiment. And then, of course, I'm using this stunning Waves of the Ocean designer series paper. So I have cut 2 pieces of foil. That's my layer number 2. And 2 pieces of the designer series paper, which is my layer number 3. My card base is Pacific Point, which is I've cut 4.25 by 11. And then my first layer is layer number, this is basic white, and it's 4 inches by 5.25. And I've already gone ahead, and you might not be able to see that. No, probably not. I've gone ahead and embossed this using the time-worn type embossing folder. All right. Hey, everybody. Goodness. Oh, nice to see everybody on. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to bring in, and I'm going to score my piece of cardstock at 5.5. So if you're using a piece that is 5.5 by 8.5, you would score it at 4.25. Or if your piece is like mine, 4.25 by 11, you score at 5.5. And again, fold into the mountain. So this is the side I scored on. This is the side with the raised line or the mountain. And so fold into that mountain or that raised score line. So that's my card base. And then I'm just going to go ahead and adhere my basic white piece on. If you don't emboss, you could stamp your image in this bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to end up using a little scrap of cardstock just because I can't stamp on the embossed cardstock. All right. So that's the easy part. Okay, so now, first of all, you can take these are exactly the same. So this one was the piece that was, this is layer 2, which is 3 inches by 3.5. What we're going to do is, I'm going to bring my sketch back in. So this piece ends up being, if I take mine, so this is a 3.5 inch side, and then this piece will be trimmed down to 2 3/4. So I'm just going to mark that on here. So we're going to trim across at 2 3/4. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to do this on the back. So one's going to get trimmed so that the diagonal piece goes this way. So I'm going to cut this bottom corner out, and one is going to go the opposite way, and we're going to cut this bottom out. So let's do this one first. So just take a ruler and make just a little line at 2 3/4. Just measuring that again, just to make sure. Yep, 2 3/4. And then you can either draw a line or you can put this in your trimmer. I'm going to draw a line. So now that's the piece that I'm going to cut off. And you probably can't, there we go. Maybe you can just see that. And again, so I'm going to do this. We want to do it opposite. So we'll put them opposite. So now I'm going to cut this bottom corner off. So on this side, I'm going to just make a mark at 2 3/4, and then I'm going to draw a line from that point. Okay, so I will take these and trim them so you can see what these pieces look like, and then it'll probably make more sense for the other pieces. So I'm going to put this point in the track. So line up, put the line so that you can see it. And that's, we're going to cut this off. Just like that. And the same with this one. Like that. So now, I bring my sketch back in. We've got this piece that's going like this, and this piece that's going like that. All right, so we've got those done. Now we're going to bring in these pieces. I'm just getting them the way I want them. Again, so this piece I want to trim off, and I want to trim this to 2.5. All right. So if you didn't know this about my sketches, if you print it out, my sketches are actually exactly the size that you need. The way I do it in the program in Word, I use Word, and so therefore I make them the same size as what I end up cutting my pieces to be. All right, so we're doing the same. I made a mark at 2.5 for this one, and I'm just going to draw a line across. Now, that's that one, and so this one I'm going to go this way. Let me make sure I got this right. So this is going to go on there, which is right, and then this is going to go on here. That's right. That, so I need to cut. So I'm going to mark this one on the opposite side at 2.5. And then I'm going to draw a line from that little mark across, and they'll cut those bottom pieces off. There we go. So we'll just take and trim that bottom piece off. And then the same with this one. that. Okay. That's the complicated part. Okay, so here's my pieces. That goes on like that. This one goes on like this. And if I bring in my card base, this piece will go on like this. And this piece will go on like this. And if you didn't emboss this bottom, the first layer, you could actually just stamp your sentiment. But because I've embossed that piece, I'm going to stamp on a scrap and then adhere the scrap on. So now we can just start. So when you go to make this card, if you have questions, just post them in the group or underneath the YouTube video, and I'm happy to answer them. Hopefully this makes sense. Once you've done it once, you're going to be able to repeat the process. All right, so that goes on like that. I can't resist this paper. It is just so pretty. And the foil behind it, oh my gosh. Said I wasn't so much a Pacific Point fan until this paper came out, and now I'm going through so much Pacific Point. All right, so that piece is going to go on like that. You can use dimensionals. I'm not going to pop this up. I'm just going to adhere it on flat. So this piece goes up about 1/4 of an inch from the top and the side. And then this piece will go down maybe 1 inch below that or so. So again, about 1/4 of an inch from the side, but about maybe 3/4 of an inch down from the top of the other one. And then that leaves you lots of room. And you could alternate. In fact, I think the picture, the card that I saw, the demonstrator had changed up the designer series paper. I love this designer series paper so much. I just couldn't resist using the same one. All right, now let me get a scrap of basic white cardstock. And I'm going to use the stamp that says, it says, "You're so totally awesome." And we will stamp this in, I think, Pacific Point. Like that. And while I have this out, let's do another stamp. Let's stamp this pelican. And I'm going to stamp the pelican in the blue as well, because I only grabbed the Pacific Point. So we'll stamp the pelican on the inside of my card. Like that. Looks kind of nice in Pacific Point. All right, grab my paper snips, and I'm just gonna cut this out. You could use a die, you could use a punch. If you follow me, you know that I tend to like to fussy cut. So this one I'm actually not going to cut around. I'm just cutting it in a rectangle. And I'm going to use, if I can find some dimensionals. Here's some black ones. So I'm just going to use them. Now, when I have a bigger piece of like a label, a bigger piece that I'm adhering, I stagger my dimensionals so that I don't get my sentiment wobbling. I find that if you put them all in a line across, it kind of wobbles and it bothers me. So I always kind of stagger them so it doesn't do that. There we go. Now, a card wouldn't be a card without some bling on it. So I'm going to use the rhinestones, the wave rhinestones that are part of this suite. Hey, Vicky, welcome. All right. And again, if you're joining me a little late, I will post the name of the demonstrator that I got this card. I'm casing a card that I saw in the demonstrator training blog hop that I was in this week. And when I saw it, I immediately knew I had to case it. And I, of course, didn't write down her name. So I will go out and find it and put into the link. Put that information underneath this video. Now, these are the rhinestones. I've used up all of the large ones. I had to buy a new package. I just love them. So they come, there's 168 in a package, and you get 4 of each of the colors in the large and the medium, and then you get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20 of the small ones. But I really like the big size, so of course I've used all those up. So let's use a Coastal Cabana and a Pacific Point and a Granny Apple Green. I just love them. They are so pretty. Oh, in all those blues and greens. So there we go. Pretty, pretty card. And I said you could alternate. You could use different designer series paper if you wanted to. Or you could use the same like I did because it's too pretty to not. And the foil behind it just really makes it pop. So this is the sketch. Pretty close to being exactly the same. Sometimes I kind of, go a little rogue on my sketches and they're really just guidelines. But for this one, I really have, it was so pretty. And I kind of have used exactly that sketch. All right, everybody. If you have questions as you're doing this card, just let me know. I'm happy to answer your questions. And yeah, thanks for joining me. I will be live in my group for sure, but I might be live on YouTube and my Facebook page as well. I'm changing up my mystery challenges a little bit. I wasn't getting a lot of people participating in my mystery challenge the way I was doing them. And let's go to do this. Okay. And I love to craft too. I love to make cards. And so I have so much fun when I do these sketches. I'm going to change up my mystery challenge a little bit. I'm actually going to give you a challenge. It might be a color challenge. It might be a tic-tac-toe challenge. It might be a picture challenge. But I'm going to post it in advance, and then I'm going to come on and I'm going to make a card, and you hopefully will come on and at the same time make a card. But I thought maybe that would be fun to do, and then you can share your cards in my group if you're part of my group. Or yeah, I just thought that would be fun. It lets me do some crafting as well, and hopefully you'll like it too. And if I don't get a lot of people showing up for this one, I'll change it up again. But I'm hoping you guys will like this. And you'll get a different mystery challenges. And I have lots of requests to do the traditional mystery challenge where I post clues. We can do that as well, maybe once a month. But for now, we're going to switch it up a little bit. What was I going to say? I thought I'd maybe chat a little bit about how I take a color challenge or a tic-tac-toe challenge or a picture challenge, which are my difficult ones, and decide how to make a card. So I hope you'll join me. That'll be at 6:30 Pacific on Thursday nights. And so I'm going to alternate that with my technique. So every other Thursday night, it'll be a technique. So I hope you guys will join me on Thursday night at 6:30 for this new mystery challenge. And stay tuned. The clue will go live about 3 Pacific so that you'll have a sense of what I'm doing. And you can kind of think about what you might like to make for a card. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. Happy stamping. Bye.